This is the halftime show with Omar Al Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. Firstly, Ramadan Kareem to everyone listening. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, pulse95radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority. Maybe you're chilling at home watching us live on YouTube. I also have to give a special shout out to everyone on Instagram and TikTok who's tuned in. Shout out to Sarah, Shakib, Fahad, Saad, Gashi, Dubai Story, Murad, F4 Football, Mimo, of course my guest Andre, and also Anita, Celeste, Terry, Rashid and Kulthum. Thank you very much for spending the hour with me today, and I got to give you an idea of who's going to be in the room with me today. Now, I've spoken about football, you know my love for the game, and this is someone that adds a bit more to the show, which we've already had some fantastic guests. He comes from the background of futsal. Now, if you don't know what that is, you've tuned in at the right place, because he's going to tell you all about it. He's going to tell you about his journey. He's actually a legend in the sport, and I like to call him a legend in the sport as well. But actually, his nickname is the Doctor, and we're going to be telling you exactly why his nickname is the Doctor later on. From Brazil to Al Nasr is the title of the show, and I can't wait to share that with you today. So don't go anywhere. This is the only place to be at 3, the halftime show with me, Omar Al Duri. I'll see you soon. Enjoy the break.
This is the halftime show with Omar Al Duri on Pulse 95.
Yes! Welcome back to the halftime show with Omar Al Duri. Ramadan Kareem to everyone. Hope you're having a blessed day and hope you have a fantastic month, whether you fast, whether you don't, whether you're Muslim, whether you don't. I hope you enjoy the energy that comes with this month and also the peacefulness. God, that is something that I think the whole world can never get enough of. Anyway, on the show today, Andre Caro is on the show. I was trying to get the pronunciation right, because you know we've got this flavor today in the studio which we haven't had before. From Brazil to Al Nasr, here with me today, Andre. Welcome to the show, my man.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Omar.
Hey, man, thank you.
And Ramadan Kareem to everyone.
Amazing. And by the way, you know, thank you so much for supporting the show as well. I know you and Anita always.
Yeah, we're big fans.
I'm the fan, and that's why you're here.
I just love the energy. It's such a good vibe.
Thank you so much, man. And it comes down to being able to interview people like yourself, being able to learn as well from people like yourself. Your background's very interesting, and the title says it all. Futsal is something that, you know, a lot of people probably have heard of, probably have seen, have watched, and have probably been intrigued by and thought it is very similar to the beautiful game. But there's more to it than that. What is futsal?
Well, people might not have heard about futsal, but they've seen the result of futsal. Mm-hmm. So if they love Neymar, they love Messi, they love Cristiano, they love futsal. They don't know yet.
Yes.
So yeah, futsal is indoor football. It's played in the school courts. Mm-hmm. It's the most played game in the world. It's more than football, actually, because anywhere you play indoor, or you play in a school, you play on a street, on a futsal court, you're playing futsal.
Absolutely. And tell me, actually, it's funny you mentioned those names. When you see a player now, do you automatically say, that's a futsal player, regardless of whether he's playing on the main stage or everything?
Tell, definitely. You can definitely tell.
So give me a couple of names now. Obviously, Neymar and Messi and those guys are the obvious ones. Give me a couple of names of people you've seen that you thought, oh, he's incredible.
For me, like there's some big Neymar is the biggest one. Neymar grew up playing futsal. He started playing soccer, I think he was 13. So before that, he never played football.
Okay.
So he never played football until 13. So that's probably one of the best in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's other names: Felipe Coutinho, Douglas Costa. There's some names that Costa, for example, grew up playing futsal. I played with him futsal, and the guy's a freak.
Oh,
He's
really?
such a good player.
Amazing.
So the technical skill, you can tell that it's coming from futsal.
Yes, and when you look at technical skill, you said it yourself, you know, what stands out for you as a coach, which we're going to be talking about later on today? What stands out for you as a coach when you look at technical skill?
The thing is, technical skill is something that you learn when you're growing up. Mm-hmm. It's, of course, you can still learn it when you're older, but most of your technical ability you learn when you're young, when you're growing up.
Yeah.
The other parts, the strategy, the tactical, you can learn that after older. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's so important to play futsal when you're growing up, because you're in the perfect environment to become a good technical player.
Yes, absolutely. And do you recommend, we say, kids to start futsal at a certain age to be able to master the touch?
Well, look, I think the younger the better.
Yeah.
If I don't have children yet, but my child will start playing futsal when he or she is 2 years old.
No
3.
pressure, no pressure.
No pressure, but yeah, definitely the younger the better.
Yeah.
I would say around 2 to 5 is just about playing games, having fun.
Yeah.
But definitely join like a little academy when the child is 5 years old.
Right.
So 5, 6 is a good age to start, I would say.
And obviously we can tell from the accent you are from.
I'm Brazilian.
Okay.
Born in Brazil, but I have my life is split into two halves.
Nice.
Half of my life in Brazil, half in Australia.
Absolutely. And in Brazil, it's a way of life. You know, football, sport, futsal, it's something that is a form of expression.
Yeah.
So for you, that's what you know, and that's something that you've, been now you're teaching that. But how hard is it to teach something that you naturally grew up to?
To teach, you know that as well. To teach, you need to know exactly inside out how it works.
Yes.
So if I need to teach a technique or a certain movement, I need to know that movement inside out.
Yes.
And that's a long story, but that's my passion, to teach people futsal and movements or about futsal tactics.
Yes.
But to know those movements, I had to really study them.
Yes. How do you study movement, Dre? Like, how do you study movement?
What I love about it is that everything you can learn. You can pretty much make a player that from scratch, like a young kid, 5 years old, 7, never played before, has zero coordination. You can mold that player into a superstar.
Yeah.
Of course, you need the talent. Not everyone's got the talent, but you can definitely make someone a good player, a strong player.
Question for you. In futsal, does every position have to have all the same attributes?
No.
Okay, tell me. So, the way I see it normally when I watch, incredible, talented people like yourself playing, you rotate all over the pitch, yeah. But is there certain skills that you have to have further up that are different to further back?
You definitely need to know how to play in every position when you play futsal, because you're always moving. For example, I start as the positions in futsal is the defender, the fixed, the wingers, or some people say flankers.
Yes.
And then you have the pivot, the striker, the number 9. But as the game became more modern, these positions you need to learn how to play everywhere, because you ended up moving all the time.
Yes.
And it's a strategy, for example, for the pivot to not start as a pivot. Pivot started as a winger.
Yes.
And then ended up playing as a pivot later on.
Yes.
But at some stage, the pivot might ended up marking the other pivot and marking the other defender.
Yes.
And then the pivot is marking the defender, but the defender is playing as a pivot. So
yes.
Long story short is you need to learn how to play every position.
See, we can talk football all day, me and this guy. Because you know what I was thinking about? When you said the fixed defender, I was thinking sweeper. And when you said the pivot, I was thinking false number 9. Now we're going to start talking football language, but we're going to take a quick break. And guys, if you enjoyed that first segment, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for more on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
This is the halftime show with Omar Al Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. All smiles here in the studios. Good energy only. Good vibes. We've got Andre Caro in the building. Andre, welcome to the show, my man.
So happy to be here.
Man, we were talking off air as well, and I'm sure that everyone that was tuned in on the first segment must have been like, you know when you're watching a tennis match and you're looking at two people, information bouncing across the room. Obviously, your background is very, very impressive, and I'm a big fan of your work. Even before I knew, who's associated with you and where you guys are from and what you guys stand for, I always thought, man, like some of the things you do, especially stuff that you post online, is very, very impressive. And only if you play the game, you appreciate that kind of level of technical skill. So I'm very, very impressed, and I want other people to actually view and watch your stuff. I'm going to leave your handles in the show notes as well. What does your futsal career look like, and how did you end up in the UAE?
I'll try to make that short, but
go ahead.
Basically, do I start from growing up or start from? Yeah, grew up playing futsal from 5 years old to 13. Then, like every kid in Brazil, you want to become a professional footballer. Yeah. So I made that switch from futsal to football when I was 13. Played 3 years high-level stage, playing São Paulo state competitions, first division. Went to Spain. Spent 4 months at Malaga in Spain when I was 16. At that time, there was no smartphones or anything. I got really homesick. Decided to go back home, and then I quit. I say I had enough of football. Too much stress and politics at that time. I say had enough.
Yeah.
Played a futsal tournament with my schoolmates
This is in Brazil.
back home, back in São Paulo, Campinas, in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And then a big club from my hometown, the only club that plays the state level, saw me playing that futsal tournament and invited me to join the team.
Nice.
So that was a dream of mine to play for that club named Pulo do Gato,
Okay.
Brazilian name.
Yeah.
Then I played 3 years for that club from 16 to 19. And 19, I decided to go study English in Australia.
Okay.
And then when I arrived in Australia, I saw a massive opportunity to grow futsal there.
Yeah.
Futsal was just early stages, not much, just social. Saw a massive opportunity, and I spent the last 10 years there.
Excellent.
And that's where I became the person who I am now in Australia for the past 10 years.
Fantastic. And then so we've covered that part now. Now, how do you get from Australia to here, apart from a long flight?
That's due to social media and COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
COVID brought me from Australia to UAE.
Wow. Okay. So when was that?
During COVID, we started that thing of doing live streams on Instagram.
Yes.
And one of the live streams was with the head coach of Al Nasr, Rafael Fogageiro.
Okay.
He invited me for just a live, an interview, 30 minutes, just talk about futsal.
Yeah.
And then he finished the interview saying, man, I'm looking for an assistant coach. Would you be keen? That was, I think, May last year, May 2020.
Okay.
I say I've been at the same job in Australia for the past 10 years, but maybe now is the time during COVID, lockdown. And in UAE, there was there were restrictions, but things were still happening here.
Yes, yes.
And then I had a good thinking about it. A week later, the manager of the club, Mr. Mansour, he sent me a message. We're looking for an assistant coach. I say, but the coach just spoke to me. He said, I haven't spoken to the coach. So they both invite me, and they didn't know that they had to invite me.
Oh, right. So they both wanted you, but they both hadn't told each other that they wanted. Okay, interesting.
That was a week later after the interview.
Yeah.
And then after a few weeks, I decided to come, and I made the switch to UAE.
Fantastic. Isn't it such a nice thing to hear someone use COVID to change lives?
I see it's sad, but for me it was an awesome opportunity to come here, and COVID opened many doors for me.
Absolutely. It's refreshing to be able to see, because a lot of people, of course, and we've lost loved ones, we've lost people through COVID, we've had so many different experiences. But the positive thing out of that is you seize an opportunity to come out here.
Definitely. And for me, it was the time that I really grew up my social media as well.
Yeah.
I was very well known in the futsal community on social media, but during COVID, I had that big boost. And also coming here, like futsal in UAE is one of the most well-known places in the world.
For me, that's something that, it's a market that people almost sleep on, almost think, it's good, but then they realize, like you just said now, that people from all around the world are actually coming here to compete at the highest level.
Yeah, the futsal in UAE, it's very famous. Of course, there is so much to improve still.
Yeah.
We have a first division, we have an under 20s league, but we bring some of the best coaches from around the world here.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, I got some questions for you. All right.
Let's do it.
Right, okay, so this one's an obvious one, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because Shakib's a good friend of mine. Question for your guest, Ricardinho or Falcao?
Both friends of mine.
Are they both friends of yours? Okay, so if they weren't listening, which I'm sure they will eventually listen.
But unfortunately, I'll have to back up Falcao. Falcao is the one and only.
Yes, I had a feeling you'd say that. Okay, and then they've got another question. And if Pep Guardiola ever coached futsal teams, would he do as well compared to 11-a-side, even though his tactics would be appropriate for it?
I think he would be a master.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's got everything. He's got the managing of the group, dealing with players, and also the tactical side. I think he would kill it. And believe it or not, Pepe, he's been involved in futsal before. He's done a few futsal exhibition matches in Barcelona. Yeah, I'll be very interested to see.
If you were to be coached by anyone in the world that you haven't been coached by, this is my question for you. Who would you want to be coached by?
As in soccer or futsal?
That's a good question. In both.
Futsal, there's a friend of mine, his name is Venancio Lopez.
Okay.
And there's another one, Brazilian one. This one is Spanish, Venancio Lopez. And there's a Brazilian one called PC.
Okay.
Both legends of the game. I would love to be coached by them.
Okay.
But football, I would say Pepe.
Yeah?
Yeah, a friend of mine, Douglas Costa,
Yes.
he says that Pep is just amazing.
Yeah, because he worked with him at Bayern Munich.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So he used to tell Douglas, hey, take a couple more steps to the left.
Yes.
So that much of accuracy, it's something unreal.
It's interesting when people start to study the mechanics or the biomechanics of athletes. Like you said now, when Pep said to Douglas Costa, take 2 steps to the left, and knowing that Douglas Costa is left-footed, ideally he'd be on the right side to take 2 steps on the left. These small factors, they're often overlooked and they can make the biggest change. Have you had to do that with your footballers?
With futsal, the smallest detail makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So your body position, the way you're facing the court, it can be the difference between being under pressure or actually scoring a goal.
Yes.
So futsal, you have people that don't know about the game. They wouldn't know how much details involved.
Absolutely. We've got another question here. And to the comparison bit, Kike from Spain versus Ricardinho, who had a bigger impact on the game?
A bigger impact?
That's a good question.
That one I'm not answering.
We're putting him on the spot here.
Kike is a legend.
Maybe what I'll do is in the break when we're not on air, maybe I'll try and get you that answer, Shakim. All right, let's take a quick break now. Perfect timing. The music's just faded out. We're going to take a quick break now, but stay tuned more. Keep those questions coming in. Fire questions here on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
This is the halftime show with Omar Al Duri on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Al Duri. Thank you very much for tuning in. And guys, if you're kicking yourself for not catching the show, don't worry, you can catch us on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Rami. Or if you prefer a visual, head over to the YouTube channel, Pulse 95 Radio. Like, subscribe, share that good stuff. You know, actually, it comes a long way, especially when you have fantastic guests. Like my man here in the studio, Caro is in the building. There you go. Dre, question. We spoke a little bit about the UAE and you coming over here. How has it been working at Al Nasr for you?
My work at Al Nasr or how?
Yes.
Yeah. So Al Nasr, I'm the assistant coach of the first team. Alongside Rafael Fogageiro, he's the head coach, Brazilian coach.
Yeah.
Very successful. And I'm the head coach of the under-20s team, the youth team.
Fantastic. And what's it been like watching the youth here? Has it surprised you how talented they are out here?
There is a massive talent here. I see players very skillful, good technique.
Yeah.
However, it's a very freestyle game. So my job here was basically to get all these very talented players and put some structure in place.
Yeah.
And get them to follow a game plan, follow some tactics and teach them the right way to win games. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, we've got a couple of comments here. Almas says hi. Aisha, dinner with Flo. I don't play futsal in a Roy Keane. I'm a Roy Keane style player. Hey, listen, Florian used to play college football with me back in London. Florian, I would not mess with those futsal players. You know, there's some talented boys out there. I'd like to see some of these local African street ballers against a pro futsal team. That would be very, very good. I think the competition would be high. What's the difference, Florian's asking, what's the difference between traditional indoor football and futsal?
I think indoor football, how it's famous in the States, it's on turf.
Yeah.
And there's no else, so the ball can bounce off the nets. It's a bit of, I would say that futsal, it feels more official. There is else. It feels more, it's like an indoor version of the game.
Right.
Indoor football, there is no else. You feel like you're in a cage.
Yeah.
And I think that will be the difference.
Would futsal be differently if it had less players? That's from me to you.
Futsal, instead of 5-a-side, would be...
Yes.
Yeah, it would change a lot.
So if you had to pick 3 players to play in futsal and instead of 5-a-side, and the positions you mentioned earlier were very interesting, how would you structure a team of 3 players?
It's interesting because one of the process of teaching kids is starting 2 against 2 and then building up to 3 against 3. So, for example, when you play 2 against 2, there's only one teammate and also only 2 oppositions.
Yes.
So I'm marking my player, but I also have to cover my teammates.
Yeah.
And then when you add that third player, it becomes a bit more complex.
Yes.
A little bit harder. You have to cover, you have to close angles.
Yes.
And then when you build it up to 4 against 4 and then 5 against 5. So 3 against 3 will be more, 2 against 2 will be more like a 1 against 1 game. A lot of taking players on and also the dualities, we say, combinations between 2 players, 1-2s, blocks,
yes,
parallel passes.
Yes.
But then 3 against 3, you already have that sense of there's a player to cover.
Yes.
And there's also a third combination. For example, I pass to you, you don't pass back to me, you pass to that third player.
Yes. So it's like a triangle.
Yeah, a triangle, and also we say ABC.
Yes.
So
yes.
I pass to A to B, and then the B to C.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
It's
absolutely. So,
it's a lot.
So now, saying that, is that why they call you doctor?
The doctor is.
Why do they call you the doctor?
A lot of people think because more of the medical sense.
Yes.
But anyone that has got a doctor degree means it's a master in that field, right?
Yes.
So people start calling me the doctor because I study a lot the game.
Right. Right.
And my idea was study the game to teach to other people.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And did you always know you were going to be a teacher, a coach? Did you always know that?
I had a dream growing up, yes.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to be a coach.
Yes.
To make the difference and make the calls. I wanted to be the person responsible for making the calls.
Yes. Yes.
So growing up, I had some fantastic coaches and some great coaches, but I wanted to be that person that makes the decisions.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's right or wrong.
Yes. And did you take a bit of all the different coaches that you had to make it into the doctor's philosophy?
For sure, a little bit of each one.
Fantastic. Another question for you here. We've got a couple of questions coming in here. Another question for you. Why does watching, Aisha's asking, why does watching futsal feel much more intense than watching field football?
The size of the pitch it's a massive thing.
Yeah.
It's the official size is 40 by 20, and then you have 5 players aside, so 10 players on a 40 by 20. So the players are a lot closer to each other.
Yeah.
A lot closer together.
Interesting.
And that's the reason why we strongly advise kids to play futsal, because they're always touching the ball. It's like playing football on a smaller side pitch.
Yeah, yeah. And talking about the sizes, Florin is asking, is it the same ball?
No, it's a much heavier ball.
Heavier and smaller?
A little bit smaller. So I think football would be like a size 5.
Yes, football is 5.
Futsal is a size 4.
Excellent.
And it's a little bit heavier. It doesn't bounce as much either.
Right, right. Yeah. Question here. Would you agree that the goalkeeper is the most important specialized position in futsal, considering how much the game has evolved?
I would say so. I say a winning team needs a winning. It starts for a goalkeeper.
Interesting.
For sure.
So, normally they used to say that defense wins you championships. In futsal, what does goalkeeper win you?
Without a goalkeeper, forget it.
Yeah.
You can't achieve anything.
There's something that I learned actually a little while ago, and I wanted to ask an expert like yourself. When I used to play five-a-side, sometimes if we were losing 1-0, we would sacrifice the goalkeeper for an outfield player to play in goal. Does that happen in futsal as well?
Yes. So there's a tactic called a power play, or we say flying goalkeeper or fifth man. There's a few ways to say that tactic.
Yeah.
When you're losing a game, and it happened, we just played the grand final of the UAE League. The last 10 minutes, we play the power play. You take your goalkeeper out, you put a field player on the court.
Yeah.
But that field player must be after the halfway of the court.
Right, okay. And
So
the
if
field
you-
player can use their hands in the area?
In the area, correct.
Okay.
But if you lose the ball, the goal is open.
Yes.
So it's that risk that you take, and that makes the game super exciting as well.
Fantastic. Very cool. Okay, let's take a quick break now. We'll be right back for more. Keep those questions coming in, man. Loving those questions.
Love it.
See you soon.
This is the halftime show with Omar Al Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Al Duri. Thank you very much for tuning in. What a great show we've had, and I've tried to keep the energy down, and I don't know if I've succeeded or not, but you know what, I'll tell you one thing, I've had a lot of fun on today's show. Caro is on the show today. Andre, thank you very much. Andre, you've also got someone with you here as well who is also an avid listener, is also someone that's contributed a lot. Anita's also been, if you watch the Red Bull episode, the Neymar Junior Fives tournament that I was down there, she was actually one of the guests on there, and she's also someone that's contributed on the topics, especially when it comes to the psychology side. So Anita, welcome to the show as well.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good.
Okay, Anita, so what I want from you is I want you to tell me, obviously in terms of the doctor, which I'm going to start calling you now, by the way, the doctor who's done some great things. How has that influenced your life in football?
Yeah, he introduced me to the game of futsal.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with that, and through that he's challenged me with my technical abilities, you know?
Yeah.
I was used to just kicking a ball long and running onto it, but now it's about really thinking about the game, where you're going to move, and a whole new concept to the game. It's a new beauty. moving to the UAE, I never imagined it. Never in
Really?
a million dreams. Yeah. So
Interesting.
these opportunities that he gets presented with,
Yeah.
I get to share with him, and it's an absolute honor.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Must be
It's
nice.
amazing.
And no pressure on the kids, by the way. Oh my
no,
God.
None at all.
Futsal or football, they're going to come out regardless kicking a ball.
Absolutely.
Question here from Rawan Dre. Who from the football field would make the best futsal goalkeeper?
Goalkeeper, I would say Neuer from Bayern Munich.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a gun goalkeeper.
Yes.
But the one from Barcelona as well, I forgot.
Ter Stegen?
Yes.
What about Edison?
Edison too. The Brazilian ones for sure.
Yeah.
The Brazilian ones for sure. They play futsal growing up. But I would say a couple. You see some techniques that they use. They come on a split save. They use their feet a lot more than they actually diving for the ball.
Yeah. I mean, the way Edison passes a ball, I have to tell you, man. I know there's something nice about left-footed players, but the way he passes the ball from the goalkeeper, every time he plays a pass about 40, 50 yards, I just do this. He makes it look so easy. Before I let you go, Dre, obviously you have some incredible stuff on social media and a lot of support as well. Where can we follow you?
So I do a lot of work on YouTube. So I have tutorials on futsal, training sessions. So Caro Futsal on YouTube, and on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, everything. Caro Futsal.
Amazing. Shout out to Big Hass who's in the building as well. Big Hass, what's going on, my man? Okay, one more thing. I told you the show is going to fly by. What's next for you? Dr. Dre, what is next for you? Is it football? Is it playing? Is it coaching? Is it futsal? What's next?
I'm definitely not done playing yet, but the next season or two, I'm still not sure if you're going to be coming back to UAE. Now is the time to go back to Australia for holidays. Decided the next couple of years.
Yeah.
What we have at Al Nasr is something very special. This year we won 2 cups. We came runners-up of the league, but we still have that feeling that we need to win the league here in UAE.
Yeah.
So we need to win it here and make the most here and make the most of it
Unfinished
as well.
business.
Unfinished business for sure.
I like it. One more question. I promise. I told you we're gonna have a long show. One more question. Is the nutrition drastically different in futsal compared to football, considering the intensity of the game?
I would say it's similar. But however, futsal is the fitness side is very different, because futsal you can sub like basketball. Subs are unlimited.
Yeah.
That means I go to the court, I play for 4 minutes and I come off.
Yeah.
So it's 4 minutes high intensity. It's like an interval training.
Yes. Like Tabata.
Yeah, exactly. So you go on the court, and some players don't even need to be super fit. They go on the court, they give it their best, and they come off and they rest.
Excellent.
But for those 3 minutes, you need to give 100%.
Yeah, and that reminds me of things like the intensity of a boxing round, 3 minutes of a boxing round, or a Tabata training. That high end.
But like football, they have a long sprint, and then they walk for a little bit, or they jog around. Now in futsal, you go 100%, you come off, you take a seat on the bench for 2 minutes, and then you go again.
Wow. And there you have it, folks. We've had Andre, Caro, and Anita as well here in the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, you catch up Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. The Adhan's about to go off, but thank you so much, guys.
Absolute pleasure.
If you liked this episode of The Halftime Show, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.